How do top solvers turn so fast throughout their whole solve? How do they solve without pauses? Well, it's a secret.
Oh my god.
Just kidding. In this video, I'll break down to you the 3 steps that you can go through to make your solves fluid and pauseless. The first step is finding. So finding is the stage that most cubers over 20 seconds are at. This is basically where you solve a pair, and then you find the pieces for your next one, and then you solve it, find the pieces, go on and on and on like that, right? You do this every single solve. This is a very key stage of developing your F12 because in this stage you have the opportunity to work on which pairs you choose. And this is very important because a lot of people mess this up and they just try to go to Lookahead as quickly as they can. But when you are in this finding stage, you want to try and work on finding the pairs rather than just finding the first pair that pops out to you. You want to sacrifice a little bit of time at that point to find the right pair to solve in that situation. So the one that takes the least amount of moves and the one with the nicest finger tricks, so the easiest to execute. And this is a very important thing that, as I said, a lot of people skip, but don't skip it yourself because it's very important. Second step is tracking. What I mean by tracking is basically you're solving your pair and then you're tracking where the pieces of your next pair will end up, and you're doing this so that you know what you're going to do in advance. This is what a lot of people try to get to too quickly, in my opinion, and it's what a lot of people who are trying to get to maybe like sub 20 think is their problem, when it's actually most likely their pair choice from their finding stage, or a last layer weakness, or their inspections a weakness, or cross, or something like that, right? And this is something that you want to be very strict about with yourself. You only want to start doing this once you can already pick good pairs. You have the ability to find those pairs quickly, and then if you think that then you're ready, okay, then you can start to layer tracking on top of it. And once you do, you'll probably immediately see a very big drop in the amount of time, like over the first week or whatever that you're starting to do this, because if you're tracking these pieces, you know in advance rather than finding after the fact, right? So this is the second stage, and before we get into the third one, I'd like to ask you a question. What do you think it is that allows top cubers like Yiheng, Max, Timon, Felix, Maddie, anyone like that? What do you think it is that allows them to solve so fast with so little pauses and so fluidly with such high TPS? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's not only amazing look ahead. Also, they all have that amazing look ahead, but there's a second factor, and that brings me perfectly into my third point. And the third stage is knowing. So knowing is basically before you solve your pair, you know where the pieces of your next pair are going to be, and then once you're about to solve that, then you know where the rest of your pieces for your F12 are going to be, and then you just know how you're going to solve your pair. And you know in advance, basically. And knowing unlocks multiple things that are very powerful. Basically, it allows you to pick your pairs in advance. So if you can see where the next 2 pairs are going to be, you can kind of see this pair is going to be worse than the other one. All right, I'm going to go with this one. But it then also allows you to change the solution of one pair slightly to what you would normally do, to maybe give you a free pair for your next one, or get a free pair now, but then you see, oh, that's not great for my next pair, and then maybe solve that a different way, and then get a better case for the last pair, right? And this is, in my opinion, and in most cases, what sets a 5 to 6 second solver apart from like an 8 to 9 second solver. They might have the same solutions, their finger tricks might even be similar, they probably both have pretty good look ahead if they're at that speed, but it's the knowing, that's just knowing that's setting them apart, because the 5 to 6 second solver knows where their last 2 pairs are going to be on their second pair already, but the 8 to 9 second solver is probably still tracking where their next pair is going to be by that point. And if you think about it, then the 5 to 6 second solver, because they already know, they can turn as fast as they like because they know already what they're going to do. But the 8 to 9 second solver needs to turn slow enough to where they can still track where those are going to be, right? And they always kind of taper off with their TPS towards the end. And that's the big difference there. Now you're probably thinking one of 2 things. One is, man, I'll never get to that level, and the other one is, how do I get to that level? So my answer to the first one is, yes you can. It just takes consistent and persistent effort, day by day, into developing the skill, and over the course of 1-2 months, you will develop this knowing ability, and then you can hone it in over time, until you have this really high level knowing ability, which, as I'm sure you know by now, everyone wants, right? My answer to the second one is, it's maybe not as complicated as you might think, so I'll break this down for you. So for developing strong knowing capabilities, it's basically reps equals results. The more you do it, the better you get at it, right? So you want to do it as much as you can, but when you are doing it, you want to make sure that you're doing it well. So the way you can do more of it is basically wherever you're going, if that's in a car, if it's on public transport, if you're in a park, if you're sitting somewhere, if you're at home, try and just have a cube wherever you go, because then you can just scramble up your cube, you can solve the cross, and then you find your first pair, right? And then once you have that first pair, before you solve it, you track where maybe 1 to 2 pieces, like where the pieces of your next pair will be after that. So even if it's not a great pair, because you don't necessarily have to solve it at this stage, you have your pair. So for example here, you have your pair here, and you know how you're going to solve it. So you're going to solve it with R, U2, R prime, and then insert the pair, right? But then I might see, okay, I've got this piece and this piece. How are they going to end up afterwards? Well, this edge is going to stay there because I'm just doing R, U. But this corner, R, alright, this is going to move to here. U2, this is going to go to here. R prime, alright, I'll stay there. U, alright, this is here now. R stays there. U prime, okay, so this ends up here. And then you know this corner is going to end up here, and this edge is going to end up here, right? You know that this pair is going to stay here, that's pretty obvious. So then you can say, alright, well, which pair would I prefer? This pair or this pair? Yeah, I prefer this pair, right? So then you go ahead, you solve this, and then you can go straight into solving this next pair. But here's the catch: before you solve this, you're looking here, and you maybe see this pair, and this might be thinking, oh, okay, this is my next pair then. Well, what's that going to end up like after this pair that I'm about to solve? So this corner, U, sledge, okay, this will go up to here. L prime, U, L, alright, this will end up here. And you know, alright, that's where my corner for my third pair is going to end up. And then you got your edge, U, alright, here, sledge, okay, that'll go here and it'll be flipped. And then you go L prime, U, L, alright, that'll stay there. And then you know that you're going to have a free pair for your third one. So then you go and solve that, and then you have your free pair, just as you predicted. Solve that, and then you've just got your last pair, right? And if you do that everywhere you go, you repeat it so much that you just get really good at it, that's exactly what you want to do. And when you're doing this, if you then, it gives you the opportunity and the time to see if you were correct with that prediction, like if you predicted correctly where those pieces will end up. And if you did, then that gets kind of subconsciously stored in your muscle memory then, that you know when you get that case how those two pieces are going to end up. And then every time you get that type of thing again, you know a bit more, and then over time that knowledge just builds up until you have this really strong knowledge for that case of how the pieces are going to end up. And whenever you get that case, you know what other pairs are going to look like afterwards, right? And you just have this split-second knowledge of where pieces are going to end up. And then through doing this over time, day by day, over the course of like a month, maybe 2 months, you'll build up this intuitive knowledge of where pieces end up after solving them. And this is exactly what you want. This is the key thing to take out of this video. You want to know, not track, and that's what every single top cuber does. So thanks for watching, and hopefully you got something out of this, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.